This is Pantheon Jeopardy, presented by the Library of Pantheon. Today's contestants are, from Georgia, a husband, father, and gamer who's been playing EverQuest for 20 years, it's the Quillis. From Alabama, a classic arcade game player turned EverQuest player, it's Darryl. From Illinois, an IT professional, internal martial artist, and fractal artist, it's Caine. And now, here is the host of Pantheon Jeopardy, Basgrim.
All right, welcome everybody to the inaugural episode of Pantheon Jeopardy, presented by the Library of Pantheon. My name is Basgrim. I'm the chief curator at the Library of Pantheon, but tonight I am your host. I will be doing my best to channel the late, great Alex Trebek. We have got three bright gentlemen here tonight from the Pantheon community that they are here ready to answer some questions about Pantheon in hopes of winning a pledge package for Pantheon valued at $300. All of the questions here tonight are going to be coming from the Library of Pantheon. Of course, you can find all of these questions and a lot more at www.libraryofpantheon.com. So, what do you say, guys? So, shall we jump right into it? Everybody ready?
Let's go. Ready to go.
All right, perfect. So, for those of you who don't know how to play this game, there's going to be 6 categories with 5 clues each. Players will have 5 seconds to buzz in and earn points for the correct answers, which, remember, have to come in the form of a question. One of these clues in round 1 is a daily double. If a player selects that clue, they will be able to wager up to as many points as they currently have. After the first round, we will go through the board again with all new categories and the point values being doubled, and there will be 2 daily doubles in that round. Lastly, there'll be a final Jeopardy question, and then after that, the player with the most points will win that $300 pledge package. Courtesy, by the way, of some very generous donations from some Pantheon community members. So Kellum, Susurus, and Grizzly. That's thanks to them for sure. For everybody who is watching from home, watching live on Twitch, I did want to let you know that we are coming at you at a slight delay to preserve the integrity of the game. But now that we got all of that out of the way, we got all that stuff down, let's go ahead and play Pantheon Jeopardy. Let's see what our categories are for round 1. Okay? First off, we are off to the races. Next up, get with the program. Then we'll talk all about perception. Next, we'll ask you to complete the tenet. We'll see how well you know your terminus history. And lastly, funding fundamentals. So good news, Caine, you were randomly selected before the show to select the first clue. So go ahead and tell us where we're going to start.
All about perception for 200.
Okay. This is the term for someone who chooses to participate in the perception system. Caine.
A player?
Sorry,
What is a player?
Sorry, that is incorrect. Give me 1 second. Anybody else? The correct answer that we're looking for there is keeper. A keeper is somebody who participates in the perception system. That's okay, though. We're just getting started. Caine, go ahead and pick the next clue.
All about perception for 400.
All right. This is the name of Perception's active skill, which represents a character's attempt to notice something. Nobody? All right. The correct answer that we were looking for there is investigate. Investigate was the correct answer. All right, Caine, get us going.
Let's just keep going. All about perception for 600.
All right. This is the term for a perception-based quest that is initiated by a lore ping. That would be a storyline. A storyline. Caine?
Okay, we got to loosen this up a little bit. Let's go to Terminus history for 200.
All right, the Terminus history clues. These are brought to us in video form by Theric from Pantheon Plus. So let's go ahead and see what Theric has to say.
Terminus has seen 3 ages during the arrival of the 9 races, starting with the Age of Seclusion, moving into the Age of Chaos, and now the modern era, known as this.
Caine?
What is the Frail Age?
That is correct. Good job. All right. All right, you're still in control.
Terminus history for 400.
This event saw the races of Terminus clash with the Ravaging Lord and his armies of Revenant, starting in the year 481 IH and ending in the year 485.
Caine?
What is the Denocide War?
Say it again?
What is the Denocide War?
Sorry, I can't. Oh, I can't accept that. Sorry. Anybody else? Quillis.
What is the Deicide War?
That is what I was looking for. And that puts you in control.
All right, let's do Off to the Races for 200.
All right. Floating above the continent of Whitethaw, you'll find Skyhold, the home city of this race. Caine.
What are the gnomes?
That is correct. Yeah, and you're in control now.
Off to the races for 400.
The elves of Fairthale are divided into 2 political sects, the Ashen and this. Quillis.
Ember.
You got it.
What is Ember? Sorry.
You got it. I will give it to you. All right, Quillis, you're up next.
All right, let's get with the program for 200.
Okay. This is the name of the game engine that Pantheon uses. Quillis.
What is Unity?
Correct. You're up next.
All right, let's do Complete the Tenant for 200.
Okay. Blank is king. Darryl.
Content. What is content?
You got it. You pick the next clue.
Off to the races for 600.
Made from a combination of ice and stone from Coldark Peak, this race's skin tone options range from gray to blue. Quillis.
Who are the dwarves?
You are correct. Go ahead and pick the next clue.
Let's do Complete the Tenant for 400.
Classes have distinct blank. Darryl.
Ability. What is ability?
Sorry, that's not the word that I'm looking for. Anybody else? Quillis.
What is identities?
Identities is correct.
All right, let's get with the program for 400.
Okay. This programmer is the mastermind behind Vinyl, the Visionary Realms network library. That programmer is Kyle Olson. Quillis, back to you.
Let's do Terminus history for 600.
Okay, we'll go back to Theric.
Known as coffins to outlast the night, 3 refuges were built to shelter the races of Terminus during the battles of the Age of Chaos. The Burning Sanctum, the Frozen Sanctum, and this one, located on the continent of Kingsreach.
That would be the Silent Sanctum. Silent Sanctum. All right, Quillis.
Let's do complete the tenant for 600.
And that is our first daily double. And so you have 2,000 points currently, so you can wager up to 2,000.
I'll wager 100.
All right, I love the confidence. All right. For Quillis, focus on a blank play that will attract those seeking a challenge. You have 5.
Cooperative.
You got it.
What is cooperative?
You got it.
I'll get that.
All right, back to you.
All right, let's do funding fundamentals for 200.
Thank heavens, in 2015, Visionary Realms received their first of this type of investment, meaning support for a startup when most investors are not prepared to back them. Quillis.
What is an angel investment?
You got it. Back to Quillis.
All right, let's do get with the program for 600.
In 2021, Pantheon's graphics were converted to the HDRP, which stands for this. Quillis.
What is high definition rendering platform?
Sorry, that's not right. Anybody else? Caine.
What is high definition rendering pipeline?
You got it. Caine is back in control. And out of the hole, as Alex Trebek would like to say.
That'll work. Funding fundamentals for 400.
Okay. In 2021, Visionary Realms unveiled this, a version of Fortress de Vair designed to show potential investors the key aspects of Pantheon in a short amount of time. That was what they called the evaluation build. No problem, though. Back to Caine.
Terminus history for 800.
Before becoming known as Terminus, the planet was known as
Oops, I'm sorry. That was my bad.
Abazul and Nistarok at different points in recorded history. But according to the Spriggan, the planet is known by this name.
It's a tough one. The Spriggan refer to Terminus as Noah. Noah is what we were looking for there. Caine, back to you.
Close it out. Terminus history for 1,000.
All right, back to Theric.
Known for his keepings of Castigu, Nerian Castigu wrote a series of letters to this elven council member in the years 473 and 474 IH, detailing his efforts to understand the Dragon Accord.
Yeah, Theric went deep on that one. The name of that elven council member is Kaolin Greyborn. Kaolin Greyborn. All right, Caine, we're done with Terminus history. It's no more. We're back to you.
Okay, off to the races for 800.
This race was originally a nation of slaves and has a passive ability called Effervescent, granting them immunity to effects that drain endurance. Caine.
What are the Achai?
I will accept it. Yep. Archai or Archai. All right, back to you.
Off to the races for 1,000.
Pantheon's lead writer J.N. Gerhardt drew inspiration from the Chiss of the Star Wars universe in the creation of this race. Oh, Darryl, you got in at the last second? Do you have an answer? I couldn't hear you.
Scar?
Sorry, Scar is not correct. Anybody else? Quillis got in at the last second as well.
Who are the Dark Mirror?
You are right. Well done. And that puts you back in control.
All right, let's do funding fundamentals for 600.
This is the name of the highest tier Pantheon pledge package, which grants all rewards, including the opportunity to design a dungeon or raid with the development team. That would be the Ascendance Pledge. Ascendance Pledge. That's the big one. And Quillis, we are back to you.
All right, let's do complete the tenant for 800.
Okay. An immersive world requires blank inhabitants. Quillis.
What is intelligent?
You're right. Back to you, Quillis.
Sorry, let's do funding fundamentals for 800.
Okay. In 2021, as Visionary Realms received a 7-figure private investment, this tech entrepreneur joined their board of directors. Darryl, in at the last second.
Who is John David?
That is incorrect, sorry. Anybody else? The tech entrepreneur that joined when they got that 7-figure investment, his name was Chris Cronenthal. Chris Cronenthal. Not a problem, though. Quillis, you are still in control.
All right, let's do get with the program for 800.
Since 2021, Visionary Realms has used this tool created by Procedural Worlds for generating Pantheon's terrain. Quillis.
What is Gaia?
Gaia is right. Back to you.
Let's do all about perception for 800.
This is the name of the journal that will keep a record of the perception pings you've found. That journal, as we learned earlier, somebody who participates in the perception system is called a keeper, and so their journal is simply called a tome of keeping. All right. We are back to Quillis.
Let's do complete the tenant for 1,000.
Meaningful character progression increases player power and blank. Quillis.
What is prestige?
Prestige is right.
All right, let's do funding fundamentals for 1,000.
In December 2019, Visionary Realms announced that one of these had been set up by one of VR's investors, allowing anyone to invest in the company at smaller amounts. That's what's called an investment syndicate. An investment syndicate. Quillis, we have 2 clues left for this round. Which one will it be?
Let's do All About Perception.
The original inspiration for the perception system's design came when creative director Chris Perkins found a mechanical constellation in this MMORPG. Yeah, that's a tough one. That mechanical constellation was in a city called Divinity's Reach in an MMO called Guild Wars 2. There's only one clue left, so we'll go ahead and read it here. Created by senior programmer Robert Caine, this is the name of Visionary Realms' primary zone editing tool. Quillis.
What is Houdini?
Sorry, that's not right. Oops. Let's see. Caine or Darryl? Nothing. All right. That zone editing tool that Robert Caine created is called Odin. Odin. All right, folks, that brings us to the end of round 1. The end of round 1, we have in third place Darryl with negative 2,000 points, Caine with 1,200 points in second place, and the Quillis in the lead currently with 4,300 points. But remember that in round 2, all the point values will be doubled, so there's still a lot of points left to be won. And we will get into that as soon as we get back from our first commercial break. So stay tuned, and we'll see you then.
Do you find your furry companions are lifeless and even stuffed? Wishing they provided a little more warmth? Well, here, try this. That's better, isn't it? Introducing HDRP, the revolutionary new product to infuse your normal everyday life with magic. Is dating dry and drab? Is your soulmate good, but just not quite alive? Here, this will put some fire in your Friday. Come on, give it a try. That looks like magic to me. HDRP, the next innovation by those wizards at Visionary Realms, promises to speed up, sharpen, and strengthen anything you throw at it. So, what else can HDRP do for you? This advertisement is in no way associated with Visionary Realms. The price up there isn't the real price. Real-life effects of HDRP are not guaranteed or real. No animals or wives or fellowships were harmed. Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is a community-supported game. Visit PantheonMMO.com for details.
Thanks, Pantheon!
Pledge now!
If you thought Nathan only made hot dogs, well, how about the new Nathan's 100% natural propane tanks? What good is a hot dog without some propane?
Come on down to Bascom RV. We got deals and deals on deals on wheels. Put that firework down, Kenny. Put that down. You're going to put an eye out. Come on down to Bascom RV. Woo!
From the depths of the puppet and MMORPG dungeons crawls a paladin. His armor is soaked, his shield is dented, but his sword is shining brighter than ever this summer as the Nathan Napalm goes full-time YouTube. Streaming daily. More content daily. More MMORPGs, more CRPGs, more tabletop, and of course, more puppets. Coming June 1st, 2022, the Nathan Napalm is unleashed, and you have never seen a full napalm before. Prepare yourself, adventurer, for the nerdiest kind of entertainment the world has ever known. Go and support the Nathan Napalm because now it is up to you if he can afford the cash shops of the MMO world.
All right, welcome back. At this point in the game, I'd like to take a little bit of a break in between rounds to get to know our players a little bit better. We've just been through one round of intense questioning, so let's take a little bit breather and let's get to know each other a little bit better. So let's start with Quillis. So you said that you told me you've been playing EverQuest for 20 years, which actually is about the same amount of time that I've been playing it as well. So I was curious, like, tell me a little bit about that. Like, what server were you on? What type of classes did you play? What was up with that?
All right. So when I was 11, I saw the commercial for EverQuest on TV, and I didn't even know what it was called. I didn't catch the name of it. And I was explaining it to my friend at school in 6th grade. And he goes, "Oh, yeah, that's EverQuest. My brother plays it." So then I knew what it was. I went to my uncle. He bought the game for me. This was just before Kunark released, I think, and picked the Wrath server. First class was Druid. Loved it, but I was also 12 years old. I never made it past level 30 for probably 4 years.
I can relate. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you saw a commercial for it on TV. That's awesome. I don't remember there being commercials for EverQuest just on like regular like cable television. That's cool. I wish we'd see more just like commercials for MMOs just on TV. That'd be cool. So you played EverQuest for 20 years. Did you play any other MMOs?
Yeah, I got into Shadowbane when it released. WoW. I've tried most of the major ones, but I always come back to EverQuest.
Yeah, I feel that. So then how did you find out about Pantheon?
I always followed Brad McQuaid, and I saw that he was making something different, and everything he's made, Vanguard, EverQuest, I've loved. So I was all about it.
Awesome. How long ago was that you found out about it?
Let's see, 4 or 5 years maybe. Awesome.
Good. Well, very glad to have you. Welcome to the show. You're off to a great lead so far. Next up, we have Darryl. Darryl, who is an arcade gamer from the 80s, the heyday of the arcade games. So Darryl, I'm dying to know, what was your go-to arcade game? You go into the arcade, which one's the first cabinet you go to? Asteroids. Ah, nice. That's a good one. So you said that, what was that?
Trick to that game.
What's that?
You would clear all the meteors except one, and you would wait for the little ship to come out. And we called him Herbie. He would fly across the screen, and you'd kill 10 Herbies, and you'd get an extra man. So you could have extra players lined all the way to the top of your screen.
Wow. There you go.
Could sit there and play that game all day long with 1 quarter and wait for the pretty girls to come in.
There you go. There you have it, right from the expert. So so you went from playing arcade games straight to playing MMOs on the PC. So what was that transition like? How did that happen?
Arcade systems came out. I basically did not like them because the controller was too hard to control and too small. I was used to my arms and hands being spread out on the arcade game. So I never got home arcade. But a friend of mine from work told me about EverQuest and talked me into joining and playing because his group needed, I believe he suggested a druid, so that's what I created. But when I got in the game, his wife had created a druid, so they did not need me. So I basically said, well, I'll show y'all, and I soloed my druid to level 70.
Wow.
And then there towards the end, I played for 5 years. I got in a good guild and we did the raids, got the good gear. And now that they've updated the servers, I think they're probably going to do some other things with EverQuest, I'm kind of getting back in. I have a friend that still plays. He's got pretty much all his AAs, his levels maxed out. He's got other characters, and it's a big step getting back into that game because a lot of things have changed.
Yeah.
I quit playing after Planes of Power.
Oh, yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah.
Even the technology that this what we're using now, Discord. I'm still trying to figure out all the things Discord can do, but
Yeah.
I did play a little bit of Runes of Magic, but again, that was more of a handheld, walk you through everything, and kind of it felt different. EverQuest has a feel to it; it just cannot duplicate.
I agree.
So I'm trying to get back into EverQuest. I have a level 70 Druid and a level 30 Bard. And right now, I'm just trying to re-familiarize myself with all the little things you have to do. Plus, I got to learn all this new stuff.
Yeah. You want to shout out your characters' names?
Character Druid is just D-man backwards. It's NNAMD. And my Bard is NNAMD 1.
All right. There you go. So if anybody sees him in game, go ahead and group up with him. You know, I noticed it seems like a theme between you and Quillis. It always seems like people heard about EverQuest from like a friend or from a coworker, or in my case, it was from my uncle. And so it's always, there's always that like kind of word of mouth aspect. So I was curious, Darryl, though, like, so how did you find out about Pantheon?
Friend of work had it loaded on his work computer, and he was showing it to me. And at the time, that was quite unique. And
For EverQuest or Pantheon? Because I was going to say, I was like, wait a minute, he had Pantheon loaded at work.
I think YouTube. Saw something on YouTube.
Cool.
And found out Brad, who started EverQuest, was starting this, so that piqued my interest.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Very nice. And then lastly, we have Caine. And Caine, in your player intro, you said that you are an internal martial artist. Now, I've dabbled in martial arts a little bit. I did some Muay Thai, but I haven't heard the term internal martial artist. So can you just explain a little bit about what that is?
It's basically the monk class.
So just monk IRL.
Well, I mean, it's all kung fu, right? So, so various forms of kung fu, various forms of qigong, manipulating qi energy, cultivation, that kind of stuff. And it's just really cool to do. And I really enjoy it because it makes the monk class a lot better. So I could be a monk playing a monk.
That's right. So that was going to be my next. Cool. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. So I assume that whenever you're playing an MMO, you go straight to the monk class.
Yeah, kind of. Not really in the past, but the internal martial arts had been going on for about 8 years. So that was pre-EverQuest. I think I took a ranger at first, and I did a little enchanter. Mostly. Yep.
Nice. So when you're playing an MMO, though, if you're playing a monk, does that being a monk IRL, does that make you like extra like critical of like the animations and stuff of the monks in game? Like, do you look at it from a different perspective like that?
Yeah, I really think that I've a couple times I posted about deer horns and bagua forms because it'd be really cool to animate and it would look really cool, and it kind of stays with fist weapons in a sense. So and it's just really smooth. fighting style. It's like it would be cool if there was like a perception ping up top the mountain where you get to learn from a master and you come down and then you go into another zone and they see you fighting. They're like, "Whoa, what the hell is that monk doing?" It would be really cool.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah. So there's a little bit, not that I'm entirely surprised, but there's a theme of EverQuest among all of our players here today. And Caine, you told me before the show that you used EverQuest as a form of virtual visitation. Can you explain that a little bit?
correct. So, I was a divorced parent, and my two sons were in grammar school. And at times when I couldn't hook up with them for various reasons, I'd catch them at EverQuest, and we would just like hang out there. Sometimes it'll be like 10 o'clock at night, and I'll be like, "What you doing up?"
Yeah.
And they'd be like, "We're going over to, High Pass Hold to kill the nose." And they'd be like, "Do you want to go?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I want to go." But then they soon surpassed me, and it was kind of like a role reversal. So they were able to be the leaders. They were able to teach me things, which was really cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I'll ask you the same question that I asked them. How did you end up finding out about Pantheon?
I was kind of watching it from the beginning. I've been around since EQ 1999. And I've been around for development of Star Wars Galaxies, EQ2, Vanguard. So, I just had a beat on it.
Yeah.
And I just watch most of the time from a distance. But yep.
Awesome. Very, very cool. All right, those are our players here today. And with that, let's roll right into round 2. So Darryl, since you are currently in 3rd place, you're going to be able to select the first clue in round 2. So let's head right on over and let's get an idea of what our categories are for round 2. We have Kickstart Me Up. Name that disposition. Where in the world? Creature feature. Featured abilities, and in this category, I will give you the name of an ability that's listed on the class pages of the official Pantheon website, and you need to tell me which class that ability belongs to. And then lastly, of course, we will finish it for Brad. All right, like I said, Darryl, you are in control. Tell us where we're going to start.
Where in the world for 800?
Where in the world? 800. Nestled in the treetops of Wild's End, the home city of the halfling race goes by this name. Quillis.
What is Sorith? Sorith? I don't know how to pronounce it.
I will give it, I will give it to you. I will give it to you. It's, that is certainly close enough. My understanding, the correct pronunciation is Sorhirith.
Got it.
But go ahead, Quillis, keep us going.
Let's do Kickstart Me Up for 400.
From the Latin phrase meaning for good, this term refers to the unpaid work Visionary Realms employees contributed in the early days of the company. You didn't know you were going to have to know your Latin for this show, did you? That phrase is pro bono. Pro bono. Quillis, we'll go back to you.
Let's do Name That Disposition for 400.
Will attempt to flee from fire sources such as torches. Afraid of fire, that is pyrophobic. Pyrophobic. Quillis?
All right, let's do finish it for Brad for 400.
Known for his green armor and flaming scimitars, this is the name of Brad McQuaid's in-game persona. Quillis.
Who is Eridune?
Eridune is right.
All right, let's do featured abilities for 400.
Battering ram. The battering ram belongs to the warrior class. Quillis?
Let's do finish it for Brad for 800.
Preferring to focus on managing the development of Pantheon rather than the business of Visionary Realms, Brad McQuaid had this title, which he carried for his entire time with VR. Caine.
What is creative director?
Sorry, that was not actually his title. Quillis or Darryl? We got Darryl.
Content creator.
Not content creator. Quillis, do you have an answer?
Nope.
Brad's title was Chief Creative Officer. Chief Creative Officer is what we were looking for there. And Quillis, we're still with you.
All right, let's do Kickstart Me Up for 800.
Kickstart Me Up 800. I'm sorry. I actually just realized that I don't think I deducted the correct points. So if you give me just one moment before we get too far ahead of myself, I'm going to do that manually. I hate doing it. I hate taking away points. So let's see. So that was Caine and Darryl. Subtract 800. Make those adjustments there, because I know chat's going to be all over me for that if I don't. All right.
It's group chat.
All right, we've got that taken care of, and all right, my apologies. Quillis, we're back to you.
All right, yeah, Kickstart Me Up for 800.
Okay, that's right. Kickstart Me Up 800. It might surprise some to hear that the design for Pantheon pitched in the Kickstarter included the use of some of these, allowing developers to tell a linear story to one group at a time. Yeah, it might surprise some to hear that Pantheon's original design included the use of some instances. Instances is the word that we were looking for there. Quillis?
All right, let's do featured abilities for 800.
Ebb and flow. Caine.
What is the monk?
That is your monk class. You are right. And you're in control.
Feature abilities for 1200.
Creeper's grip. Darryl.
Monk?
Sorry, what was that?
What is the monk?
It is not the monk, sorry. We have Quillis.
What is the druid?
Druid is right. And you're back in control.
Let's do name that disposition for 800.
Will immediately attempt to alert its allies when aggroed. That disposition is called the alarmist disposition. The alarmist. Quillis?
Let's do creature feature for 400.
Okay. These arboreal offspring of the Seed of Life bear the Verdant Shard, a vibrant green light which pulses through their eyes, neck, and chest. The arboreal offspring are called the Spriggan. And we go back to Quillis.
All right, let's do Where in the World for 400.
Located in the mountains to the west of Avendir's Pass, you might find Amani Karos in this castle, which first debuted at PAX East 2018. Quillis.
What is Black Rose Keep?
Black Rose Keep is right.
All right, let's do Creature Feature for 800.
Creature feature 800. These arch enemies of the halflings are known to them as the Withered and lurk in some of Terminus's deepest dungeons, such as the Gate. Quillis.
What are Wraiths?
Wraiths is right.
All right, let's do Kickstart Me Up for 1200.
With the intention of acquiring an office space and advancing their prototype, this was the dollar amount Visionary Realms set for their Kickstarter campaign goal. The goal that they set for Kickstarter was $800,000. And Quillis, back to you.
All right, finish it for Brad for 1200.
Brad McQuaid famously found himself locked in a one-on-one battle with Nashura in Halnir Cave during a Twitch stream with this DC Comics artist, who was also Brad's friend. That DC Comics artist was Jim Lee. Jim Lee, that was a very entertaining stream. All right, Quillis, back to you.
All right, name that disposition for 1200.
Has a chance with every attack to cause bleeding and gain a buff called Blood Frenzy. That, of course, is called Bloodthirsty. Bloodthirsty is the name of that disposition. Quillis.
All right, let's do finish it for Brad for 1600.
In the first 3 Pantheon Twitch streams, Brad McQuaid played this class, a reference to figures in Pantheon's lore who fought the Revenant, and also the first video game he designed. Darryl.
Who is a rogue?
Sorry, it's not Rogue. We have Quillis or Caine? Caine.
What is a wizard?
Sorry, that's not right either. Quillis?
I don't know.
The name of the first video game that Brad McQuaid designed was called War Wizard, and that was a class that he made up. It was only in Pantheon. It was a class that only Brad was allowed to play until they decided that it was too confusing for him to play a class that nobody else could play on stream. Tough one though. No worries. We're back to the Quillis.
All right, let's do name that disposition for 1600.
Can see through stealth, cannot be attacked from behind or pickpocketed, is vulnerable to ranged attacks. Yeah, that's a tough one. It's not talked about very often. It's called the cunning disposition. Quillis?
Let's do name that disposition for 2000.
Oh, yeah, let's finish it off. Ooh, that is one of the daily doubles in round 2. You found both 2 daily doubles so far. So you're at 7,900. You're in a very commanding lead right now. How much would you like to wager?
I'll do 100 again.
100. All right. All right. And your clue for name that disposition: immune to stun, mesmerize, and other disorienting effects. will attempt to flee at unpredictable times and in erratic ways. Yep, the answer there is deranged. Deranged. You are still in the lead. Go ahead.
All right, let's do featured abilities for 1600.
Shock and awe. Shock and awe belongs to the enchanter class. It's one of the enchanter abilities. Quillis?
Let's do creature feature for 1200.
Okay. An obsession with mining celestium crystals in Halnir Cave has exposed these creatures to a disease called the Drawn Sickness. If you remember from any of the streams in Halnir Cave, there were a lot of ratkin creatures running around. Ratkin is what we were looking for there. Quillis?
All right. Where in the world for 1200?
In this starting area on the continent of Rainfall, you'll find the Dead Shear, a monolithic fragment of the planet Deshoth. On the continent of Rainfall, there are 3 starting areas, and the one that we were looking for is Scargol, the home of the Scar. Quillis, back to you.
All right, finish it for Brad for 2000.
After Brad McQuaid's death, Visionary Realms and the McQuaid family created a scholarship in his name at this California art school. That would be the Laguna College of Art and Design. Whoops. That's my bad. My bad. Give me 1 second. I did a bad thing. All right. I messed up on that one. So that is my bad. My apologies for that. I'm just going to have to void that question, even though it was a daily double. That is unfortunate. I apologize. I shouldn't have misclicked, and I don't have a way to go back.
It's all good.
And now, oh man, did it just... Hold on. Give me just one moment. I'm going to use this opportunity to go on a commercial break while I fix my mistake, all right? We're going to be back in just a few minutes.
Has your Holy Trinity become a do-it-all button smasher? When you hear CC, do you think of closed captioning and not crowd control? Have you covered yourself in so many cosmetic items from the shop that you've actually forgotten what class you really are? Do you need 3 browsers, a calculator, subscriptions to many YouTubers just to get that last little bit of an edge on your class build that'll probably be outdated in a week because of a bug that's in the percentages of your class when the latest patch goes through?
There has to be a better way. No?
Well, there is a better way, little Jimmy. Have you ever tried class roles? With class roles, each class feels unique and special. When you choose a class, you're making a commitment not just to the look and feel of your class, but also the role that you will play. You become an essential part of a codependent system where your strengths will make up for someone else's weaknesses, and vice versa. Live out your class fantasy in a role that only you can fill. Become an essential part of that group. You may not be the chosen one, but I'd still choose you. So what do you say? Will you try Clash Rolls today? Clash Rolls are part of the upcoming MMO Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, as well as significant stalwart games of the past like EverQuest and World of Warcraft. Roles are currently defined as DPS, tank, and healer, and support. Please note that all sales of Clash Rolls are final. Necromancer and Bard Clash Rolls remain out of stock, just like your NVIDIA RTX 3080. Please use Clash Rolls responsibly, and remember that all purchases are final unless we get more information on the Progeny system.
All right, we are back. My apologies. We're back where we were. We're gonna pick up where we left off. That was just a nasty misclick on my part. But we're gonna get right back into it. Quillis, you are in the lead. You are in control. Let's get us back on track.
All right, let's do creature feature for 1600.
Okay. This clan of orcs occupy a region they call Hangor in the northern part of Avendir's Pass. That clan of orcs is called the North Tusk Orcs because they occupy the northern part of Avendir's Pass. All right, Quillis.
Let's do creature feature for 2000.
All right. Some populations of giants in Terminus have a proportionate shape like the Hisari on Rainfall, while this population of giants on Kingsreach is slender and gaunt. Caine.
What is the Agonasti?
Sorry, that's not right. We have Quillis or Darryl. That population of giants on Kingsreach are called the Elvanen giants. Elvanen. Quillis, you're still in control.
All right. Featured abilities for 2000.
Frozen Fortress. Quillis at the last second.
What is Amber Fate?
Sorry, that's not right. Quillis or Caine? Or sorry, Caine or Darryl? Nobody? Remember, this is the featured abilities category, so the Frozen Fortress is an ability belonging to the Wizard class. Wizard class is what we're looking for. But Quillis, it's back to you.
Yeah, I forgot where I was there for a second.
It's okay. It happens. We've all made mistakes here today. It's okay.
All right, let's do Where in the World for 1600.
All right. At the tip of the South Sail Peninsula, you might find the Corrigan studying under the wizard Sujatal in his lofty abode, commonly known as this. The lofty abode of Sujatal on the Atlas of Terminus is called the Tower of the Reckless Magician. Quillis?
All right, kickstart me up, 1600.
Shortly after the Kickstarter campaign ended unsuccessfully, Pantheon's current creative director, Chris Perkins, joined Visionary Realms with this job title. Caine.
Creative music director? Director? What is music director?
I will give it to you, yes. The composer, sound designer, any of those would work. And Caine, there's only one clue left, so I'll go ahead and read it off now. We got Kickstart Me Up 2000. Pantheon's Kickstarter promotional material included the concept art seen here, which portrays an area known as this. Darryl?
What is Throne Fest?
That is not Thrown Fast, sorry. Caine or Quillis? Now that is an area that is seldomly discussed these days. The answer is High Brace. That is the name of that area. All right. At the end of round 2, we've had a few bumps, but we made it, folks. We're at the end of round 2. Going into Final Jeopardy, we have in third place Darryl with negative 7,600, Caine with negative 800, and in the lead, the Quillis with 5,900. So we are going to go straight into Double Jeopardy here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the category for today's Final Jeopardy. That is conventional wisdom. So we'll let the players ponder that for a moment and enter their wagers. And while they do that, we're going to go back to that commercial break. And we'll see you when we get back. Stay tuned.
Has your Holy Trinity become a do-it-all button smasher? When you hear CC, do you think of closed captioning and not crowd control? Have you covered yourself in so many cosmetic items from the shop that you've actually forgotten what class you really are? Do you need 3 browsers, a calculator, subscriptions to many YouTubers just to get that last little bit of an edge on your class build that'll probably be outdated in a week because of a bug that's in the percentages of your class when the latest patch goes through?
There has to be a better way. No?
Well, there is a better way, little Jimmy. Have you ever tried class roles? With class roles, each class feels unique and special. When you choose a class, you're making a commitment not just to the look and feel of your class, but also the role that you will play. You become an essential part of a codependent system where your strengths will make up for someone else's weaknesses, and vice versa. Live out your class fantasy in a role that only you can fill. Become an essential part of that group. You may not be the chosen one, but I'd still choose you. So what do you say? Will you try class roles today? Class roles are part of the upcoming MMO Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, as well as significant stalwart games of the past like EverQuest and World of Warcraft. Roles are currently defined as DPS, tank, and healer, and support. Please note that all sales of class roles are final. Necromancer and Bard class roles remain out of stock, just like your NVIDIA RTX 3080. Please use class roles responsibly and remember that all purchases are final unless we get more information on the Progeny system.
No!
Sleep!
Kill!
40! 40? What kind of noob game goes to 40?
That's right, you crazy EQ fanatics. We are back again this year for another EverQuest TLP server launch. This year, we'll be doing the Vanicky server. And if you haven't heard, that server is level locked at level 40. So we'll be going from level 1 all the way to level 40 all in one sitting. And we'll be starting that nice and early in the morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on May 26th.
But the fun doesn't stop there. We're going to be hitting a bunch of raid targets. We're going to be camping high-level mobs. We're going to be on for the whole weekend. So strap in, kiddos.
But we're going to sleep at some point, right?
Who knows? You'll have to tune in and join us at twitch.tv/Pantheon Plus to find out.
I'm already tired. I'm going to take a nap to get ready.
Pantheon Plus is not responsible for sleep depravity, sleep deprivation, or other sleep disorders. Please consult a doctor before staying up more than 12 hours at a time. If you stay up more than 24 hours watching the No Sleep Till 40 stream, you may experience nausea, headaches, and the urge to buy chrono and or lease a vehicle. Please note that while we love EverQuest and are excited for this stream, if Pantheon Rise of the Fallen launches Alpha before this date, we will drop EQ like a hot potato and will be no-lifing Pantheon Alpha. Pantheon is a crowdfunded MMO, so please go head over to pantheonmmo.com/pledge and help support the movement. All rights reserved, onward and upward.
All right, and we are back. Final Jeopardy. The category for today's Final Jeopardy is conventional wisdom. The players have entered their wagers, and just as a heads up, since we have 2 players who are currently in the negative, what I allowed them to do is they're wagered up to 2,000, since that's how much they would have been able to wager in round 2 if they had selected a daily double. And a daily double, if you are currently negative, you can wager up to the maximum value of a clue for that round. So that's what I allowed them to do here for Final Jeopardy, because this is all just fun. This isn't cutthroat. So with that in mind, the wagers have been locked in And players, you should have a piece of paper or a writing implement available to you. And let's go ahead and see our clue for today's Final Jeopardy. Before its first convention floor appearance at TwitchCon 2017, Pantheon debuted bus stop ads and the Bring Friends trailer earlier that year at this San Diego convention. All right, players, you have 45 seconds to write down your answer, starting now. All right, players, time is up. All right, Darryl, let's start with you. Go ahead and reveal your answer to us. Comic-Con. That is correct. Well done. I will adjust, and you wagered 2,000. Of course, so I will adjust your score here momentarily. Oops. All right, so Darryl, you're at negative 5,600. Caine, let's go to you. Go ahead and reveal your answer. E3. Sorry, that's not right. So let's see. So Darryl is at negative 56, and Caine is at negative 2,000. All right, and Quillis, what did you write down? And once it comes into focus, PAX, nope. As Darryl said, Comic-Con was the correct answer. You only wagered 200 points, however. Nice, safe wager. And with that, Quillis, my friend, you have won yourself that $300 Pantheon pledge. Very well done. But of course, we don't want anybody to go home empty-handed. You all worked very hard to get here. You studied hard. You pushed through some very difficult questions, to be honest. And everybody performed admirably. We want to thank you all. So, second place, Caine, you are going to be receiving a $100 Pantheon pledge package. And Darryl, you as well, you will be receiving a $50 Pantheon pledge package. So we'll get those to you after the show. But that brings us to the end of Pantheon Jeopardy. Everybody, this was a lot of fun. We hope you all enjoyed watching it. This is the first ever episode. And if you did enjoy it, then please let us know, because we would love to do more things like this in the future. Again, it was the first run. These guys were brave enough to be our guinea pigs, and we worked through a few kinks, learned a few things. So we would love to do more like this in the future. And maybe we will, if that's something you'd like to see as well. Again, if you would like to expand your Pantheon knowledge, like these fine gentlemen here today, head on over to www.libraryofpantheon.com. Everybody, to the contestants, thank you for playing. To everybody at home, thank you for watching. Stay safe and have a great night.